What? Huh? What? No, no, no. It's not my side. It can't be. No, it's not my side. It's not my side. It's not my side. But I had Warple on my side over Wanganeen Miller. I was going to go Sheasel for Bruin. I don't even care anymore. I don't want to do this room review. I'm out. Well, man, we're going to be in for a tough, tough year. G'day, guys. Welcome back to Supercoach with DR, and welcome to my round one. I was going to call it a review, but let's call it my round one nightmare. Oh, man, I don't even know where to start here. For the UFC fans, here's an analogy that I think you'll understand. Supercoach this week was Jorge Masvidal's knee, and I was Ben Askren's head. The brand new blazer that I brought in to start the season in 2023. Wow, well, I got ripped off there. It must have been made at one of the markets at Thailand, dodgy stitching. It fell apart within the first 20 minutes of the season. It was a round that was just unspeakable, and it was a historic round for me as well. I find myself very, very much in foreign territory here. I rocked up to school today, and the kids were waiting for me. You know that they've all got their own Supercoach sides. I lost to Bonnie. Jim was in front of me. Pranish had got close. There were 6 students that had scored better than what I did after round 1. I'd made a few silly bets before the round. I thought, surely not. I'm going to kick butt. But I tell you what, that is really going to come back to bite me, I think. And I'm still unsure about exactly what to even say. You know, I was going to do the round review last night, tried a couple of times, and I dead set. I was so flat. I was just so flat after the best preseason I've ever had in my Supercoach career. I've now started off with the worst rank that I've ever had in my Supercoach career. Check that out. 90,593. Wow. And this is why this is such a historic moment. I had to go back. I went through the history books and I thought, well, what's been my worst rank ever at any time, at any stage during any season? And I found what it was. I had to go all the way back to 2015. It was round 1. And you can see it right there on the screen. 40,266. That was my worst rank ever at any stage. Luckily, within a few weeks, I was inside the top 1,000, 776. But I tell you what, this year, there's a lot more competition. Supercoaches are better than what they have ever been. And I'm coming from twice as far back. This is really, really going to be tough. Now, look, you've got to own your Supercoach selections. You've got to own your Supercoach selections, but I was so close, yet very, 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 very far in many ways. So let's have a look at this. Let's quickly go to my player pool. 600k defenders. There was 4 I was interested in. Doherty, that's okay. Absolutely fine with that. Really, really dodged a bullet. A bullet. Jeez, I can't even talk at the moment. Let's just run with it. A bullet. Even with Tom Stewart, unlucky. I tell you what, if you're a Stewart owner, super unlucky. Couldn't have predicted that. One bullet that I did dodge, though. Ridley, out of those 500k defenders, he was the lowest scorer, but I'm still happy with that selection. I can't complain, but the other 2 went bigger, obviously. The mid prices, they all just turned to absolutely nothing. Liam Jones, obviously, super unlucky as well. Wasn't playing great anyway, but he went down, most likely a trade. And then the rookies, they are what they are, luckily, and I owe this man a big apology. Conor McKenna jumped on late. Thank goodness. He did a great job of trying to save a score for me this week. Then it gets ugly. Laird, who saw this coming? I'll talk about him later. Oliver, Yeah, not the best game, but again, got to 113, I think it was. Neil couldn't get to 100. Super disappointing. Bont got to 107. Geez, not great whatsoever, but compared to the others, he looked magnificent, I suppose you'd say. Miller, okay, still below par, and then Parrish played a solid game. Green, he was one I was always going to go for. Titch still went, I think it was around a 110 from memory, but this is where it really, really, really hurts. Out of all the mid prices that I could have gone, the two that I went for, out of everyone on my shortlist, was Hopper and Wanganeen Millerer. I skipped on Sheed, Warple, Callahan, and Setterfield, who all did exactly what coaches would have wanted them to do and got a really decent score. Wow, how bad was that? I know that Hopper is a very, very highly owned player, so lots of us suffered there, but I'm pretty sure that most other people jumped on one of these other blokes at least, if not even a couple, and that's a huge advantage on me. I know it's only a week, but wow, bad decisions there. Bad decisions there. Ashcroft, McKenzie, and Baker. Yeah, again, okay. Don't think I really missed anyone there. Wasn't too bad. Phillips, obviously, yeah, sent us into a little bit of a panic. And then again, this gets worse. Marshall and Darcy, of course, they're the two ruckmen that I ended up going with. Well below par. Marshall 80 something. Shrek couldn't even get to three figures. Witts, Gorn, and English all absolutely tore it up. Just my luck. And then we even get to the mid prices. Your Cameron and your Lysette both scored better than Marshall, and Cameron also scored better than the both of them. And probably the player that I was most keen on going into the season this year in the ruck. Super, super disappointing. What can you do, though? Asara and Matt end up going with them. Dunkley, Rosie, and Taranto, all okay-ish. Dunkley pretty disappointing in the second half. Of course, I didn't go with Cogs, and my late move was Cogs out, Lockie Neal in, which cost me in other areas. Just super, super bad there. And again, here we go. The forward mid prices. I go with Fife, Bruin, and Flanders. Leave Errol on the table. Zeeble goes really well. Cunnington super disappointing, and Allen would have done exactly what you wanted him to do there. And then the forward rookies, Darcy and Green. Yeah, again, I was never going with a Combin. That was just pretty lucky, I think. And then Sheasel, man, I just wasn't on the late news. I wasn't paying attention early on before the game, and I just missed it. It was just, it was a dagger. It was a dagger. And Chandler as well, missed out on him, but I was pretty much always going with Green there. And Davey is in the midfield anyway. So super disappointing. I had some really good players on my list that performed really, really well. And it just seems like I picked basically the worst players that you could have from every line. But let's finally get to this side now. I have been putting it off, as you know, but I can put it off no longer. Here is my nightmare. So here we are. Here is the team in all its glory. 58,900 remaining in the salary cap. That'll come in really, really handy this week. I did leave it in there just in case I needed to make a move or two early on. And I'll tell you what, boy, oh boy, do I need to make a move or two early on. I'll tell you that's an understatement. But let's start off with defense here. The two premium selections I made in Doherty and Ridley both really impressed me. Doherty a little bit quiet in the third, but overall, really decent game from him. Didn't spend as much time in the midfield as what I was expecting, but really did the job down back. Took some kick-ins. A great game from Doherty. Ridley had a massive, massive start to this game. I think I reckon it would have been the first 9 minutes. He would have had 7 touches, all hit the target, looking fantastic. Must have slowed up possibly in the third or fourth quarter. I think I switched games around halftime, but all in all, really happy with this selection and actually played the role that I was hoping that, and expecting that he would. So wrap with the Ridley selection. It's not Dacos, it's not Young, but that's okay. Jones, super disappointing here. I think we need to trade him out, but in saying that, I may even look to hold him this week. I don't think he'll get up this week. There's talk that he may, but I don't think he will. I'll probably use him, as a loop. Cowan plays early on, so just see how he scores. If he has a decent game, then I'll just keep Jones, I think, for this week. And then I'll get another week to see how someone like a Tom Cole plays and see if it's actually worth bringing in someone like that anyway. But I want another week's worth of data. There's Goda there as well. I just want to see what's available come next week. Jimby had a phenomenal game. What a debut from him. We were expecting this, weren't we? So nothing surprising here. A big body, played a lot of midfield time, got involved, and look, he's better than one of their better players, I think, already. So fantastic selection from them in the draft this year, or last year, sorry. McKenna, I owe this bloke an apology. As I said, it just didn't look like it for me during the preseason, but he was one of our better players during this game, to be fair, which wasn't a great achievement because we didn't look good whatsoever. That's another topic. I'm not even going to get into Brisbane's performance, but Con McKenna, what I didn't see from him, or what I was a little bit disappointed with preseason in particular, was his lack of run and carry. But I think it was either in the third or fourth quarter, this bloke got a 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly what we want to see, just kept on running. Absolutely classic Connor McKenna. So if we can see more of that, he's going to be a great selection for us this year. Not a sub-risk now. Fagan really praised him after the game, said he was one of our better players as well. So Connor McKenna, a great late selection for me. Wasn't going to go with him, as you know. Constable, man, this guy would sell a good sausage and some steak. What a butcher. His fantasy to Supercoach ratio was just off the charts. I don't even know what he scored in fantasy, but I think it must have been at least a 90 in the end. But Supercoach-wise, just did not use the ball well whatsoever. And I'm really worried about his job security. I said right from the start that I just don't get this move. I don't get why, out of all the players on my list, they decided to go with Constable for this role. I'm not too sure, but it is what it is. Hopefully he can use it a little bit better because he got enough of it, which is good. I suppose one positive there. Wilmot, a 51. Yeah, Motty did okay. Probably what I was expecting, around the 50 mark. And Cowan, I thought looked good early on. Some of us were going a bit of the early crow there, but obviously fizzled out late. I think it was just some tightness or some cramping. Hopefully he's right for this week, and I think that he will be, and hopefully I can use him as that early loop. Into the midfield. Wow, Rory Laird, what happened, son? The only explanation that I've got for this is that he wasn't right. He was either crook or he's carrying something. We saw what he did all last year. We saw what he did during that last practice match. He destroyed it. He didn't tackle. He didn't run. He didn't chase. He didn't hunt. And it really stood out to me. I'm pretty sure from memory it was in the third quarter because someone had asked me, was he being tagged? And at the start, I didn't actually get to watch the beginning of this game. So I wasn't too sure. I looked on Fan Footy. There wasn't the, little tag symbol there. So I thought, I said, I don't think so, but I'll take a good look. There was one time he was literally 1v1 with Kelly. And we know Josh Kelly isn't the strongest man out there. He's a mature body. We know this, but he's no Dustin Martin. Gave Laird the softest don't argue that you've ever seen in your life. Burst for the ball, got it, and Laird literally just almost stood there and watched. There was no desperation. There was no burst. There was no power from Rory Laird. There was absolutely nothing. And it was in it was at that stage, viewing that one contest, where I thought something is certainly not right, because that's not what Rory Laird is about. He is the biggest hunter in the game. If he was getting tagged, at least he'd be tackling. We didn't even see any tackles. This was the most jaw-dropping game I can remember seeing anyway, at least the second half when I was watching. He just didn't want to go near it, it seemed. He must have been crook. The only explanation that I have. I'm going to stick fat with Rory Laird because surely, was he carrying something? Unless he's carrying something, I'm going to give him one more week anyway because I selected him for a reason. Wouldn't you believe it? Didn't have him all last year. I get him and he scores 50. Sorry, people. That is the absolute DR curse there. But I'm just lost for words. I'm lost for words with what happened to Laird. I know I'm making excuses for him, but I would be shocked beyond all belief if there wasn't something up with him during this game. There must have been. It was not a Rory Laird performance. It just wasn't. I don't know what else to say. I'm a little bit wary about having the captain on him, so I think I'm probably going to go. Might as well do it now. I think this works. Tom Green against West Coast, so we'll get to in a minute. But just shocked. I'm going to stick fat with him. But if he goes sub-ton again, I've got to jump off because he's just going to plummet. and I'll need to make a move, I think. So, yeah, fingers crossed he goes well next week. If he looks back to his best, even if it's a 120, I don't care. I'm going to stick with him. It's all about the eye test for me next week. Fingers crossed with Rory Laird. Man, that was tough. That was so tough to watch. And this was tough to watch as well. Really nice first quarter, pretty decent first half, and then just fizzled off like the rest of the Lions. It was super disappointing from Lachie Neale. And what made it worse was the fact that he was playing on Horn Francis at times. Horn Francis just ragdolled Lachie Neale, made him look silly, embarrassed Lachie Neale, absolutely embarrassed our captain and former Brownlow medalist. I raved about getting Lachie Neale in because of his hot starts. I gave up cogs for Neale. I had to change around some structure. I lost Sheasel probably in that exchange as well. Ah, damn, it hurt. I'm going to keep the faith in him for another week again. I can't get rid of both Laird and Neale, so I'm committed to at least one, I think, now. I'm not going to make so many premium changes. I've got other mid prices I need to move on at the moment. But again, just no desperation and just was not a captain's performance. So I'm expecting him to come out big against Melbourne, but it's going to be a huge test. We know the strength of their midfield. It's not going to be easy for him. So, yeah, this could be bad. This could be bad. Bont, I thought looked really, really good at the start, but again, just fizzled off like many of his Bulldogs teammates. Melbourne just dominated them in the second half. So, look, at a 107, he was my captain. I was really close to going with Laird. Neale, obviously the vice captain there, chose him over Dunkley as the vice. 107, I'm not complaining with. But again, it is subpar, isn't it, from what we're expecting from a Bont. This was not subpar. This was super, super impressive. Tom Green, he's been a lock in my side all preseason. I said that he's going to own this GWS midfield. And what a performance that we saw from him. Cogs obviously played a really great game. Kelly was looking okay as well before that unfortunate injury. I did dodge that bullet, but it was a bullet that I was never going to take anyway. I think I said in one of my reviews or pods somewhere that he'll step on a pebble on his way to training and do something to his ankle. It wasn't his fault. I understand that, but weird things just happened to Josh Kelly, and yeah, it's almost to be expected, which is really, really sad. But this week, I'm expecting this bloke to go off. They've got no one that can go with Tom Green, so I think he's a pretty clear captain choice. Surprising when I've got blokes like Laird, Neale, Bont, and Dunkley in my side, but after what we saw last week, he did everything and more for me. So one of the very, very few shining lights for me, Tom Green. Hopper looks slow, just like he did in the practice game. I think we got tricked into this pick, given some of his scoring history, a bit of excitement about his role, about him entering a Melbourne side, a Victorian side in the Tigers. But at the end of the day, he just didn't look great. But you know what? I've got bigger problems than Jacob Hopper, and that says a fair bit about my side. This is a big problem here, Wanganeen Millerer. Got enough of the ball. I think it was 17, 18 kicks. And if you use the ball well, that's fine. Got some kick-ins, but Nazaya, mate, my friend, please play on. I think it was 2 or 3 times. He didn't even play on from the square. Oh, this hurts so much. And talk about, why did the Saints look to use an early pick on this bloke? Due to that speed, X-factor, run and carry, and apparently meant to be a really, really good user of the football. I didn't see that whatsoever. The week before in the practice match, I think it was 23 kicks that he had, and I blame the win. I thought, well, surely no one can use the ball well in conditions like that. But guess what? There was no excuse with the conditions here. He just had some absolute clangers. Absolute clangers. And at the end of the day, a score of 52 just won't cut it. 2% of sides. This was a bloke who I had a little bit of inside info on taking the kick-ins. He did, but he just did not perform up to the level. Super, super disappointing, and probably someone that I do need to move on, particularly given the fact he's only in 2% of sides. So another really big problem in my side at the moment. Ashy, it was his first game. Look, all of his senior teammates just crumbled around him. So I don't blame the kid. I don't blame the kid. Took him a little while to warm into things, but look, he will be much better after his debut game. And look out for this bloke in 2023. He will come with an absolute bang. I'm so confident on that. I'll forgive him for 55 He scored 5 more than Rory Laird, put it that way. So it wasn't an absolute disaster. And we've all got him anyway. Cam McKenzie with a 93. This kid looks like an absolute star. Hawthorn have an absolute winner here. And what a great on-field option. So easy to have on field. If you missed out on Cam McKenzie, I think he's one that you've definitely got to get in, and you've got to rectify that as quick as you can, even as early as this week. I think if you're keen on making some more moves before the price rises, but he's an absolute must-have rookie in our sides. Baker, okayish, but not anything special whatsoever. Chesser, an absolute failure, but really I wasn't expecting big things. I was just really keen to have my that link in my defense, through that midfield and defense. But yeah, well, on-field scoring, just not an option. And Davey was actually pretty impressive, I think, through his 58. He'll keep his spot, kicked a goal, missed a couple of opportunities, I think, but pretty exciting at the end of the day. And then we get to our rucks and the forwards. So Darcy, as I mentioned, really disappointing first half, really did hit back in the second half, and I think pretty much dominated Marshall from that point on. But I think he was on under 30 points at halftime, which simply isn't good enough for a premium ruckman. You had blokes like Witts, Gawn, English, and I mentioned before, that could have scored 30 points in about a 15-minute period. So super disappointing. Not the worst score you've ever seen, but yeah, it just hurts when you've got other blokes that are doing a lot more, and even some of the mid-prices that scored better than him. Marshall with an 80. Look, Shrek's a tough opponent. That's understandable, but he's meant to be one of the stars of the comp. I know people went really early on him in drafts, for example, but man, yeah, that's just not good enough for Marshall. I hope that he bounces back. And Campbell wasn't even in the side. That was something that was going to put us off, but he didn't even play, and Marshall still only punched out an 80. So yeah, very highly owned player. Hopefully he improves next week. Dunkley, the 108, again, had a really good start. I thought he was one of our better players, to be quite fair, but just fizzled out. Yeah, super disappointing, but we've all got him, don't we? Rosie, 97, played well without, again, setting the world on fire. Just cruised, did what he needed to do in a really easy win for the Power. Taranto, the butcher, but he looked pretty good, to be honest. He got a heap of the ball, and I know that his fantasy score very much outweighed his Supercoach score, which we pretty much expect with a pick like Taranto, but did everything that we needed him to do. 103, no disaster whatsoever. Well, then we get to absolute disasterville. Fife, Bruin, and Flanders. Nat Fife. I wanted him because of his early draw. Now, against St Kilda, I was hoping for an 80. Would have been happy with that. More than happy with an 80. It's the next 2 weeks that I was really looking forward to. With a 26, I can't keep him. What do you say here? He just did not look near it. This was one of the most frustrating games I watched. I had Wanganeen, Miller, I had a few players here that underperformed, but Fife in particular, they'd have it in their back line, Freo, and I'm thinking, please just move it forward. Get it in there, please. Get it in there quick. It was just chip. Luke Ryan, Cox, Young. How did these blokes score? Wasn't that just amazing? But it just made things impossible for Fife. Free kicks away, drop mark, fumbles, holding the ball. It was just an absolute shocker from him. So this man needs to go. I'll put my hand up. That was a big mistake. This man here, though, Tanner Bruin, I thought he was looking fantastic up to halftime. I had my notes. I was writing my notes down very, very keenly. Every little thing that he did, I was jotting down. One thing that I really underrated was his hardness at the football. This bloke went in hard. You know, he does not take a backward step. Look, there was a couple of times where he didn't use the ball overly well, but I thought he got enough of it and he looked really, really good in that role. Stewart goes down. Parfitt comes on. He loses the role, gets just... it was just decimated out there in a wing. He just could not get near it. He couldn't get near it. So in the midfield role, I think he's a really great selection. Playing on a wing, he's a dead pick. He's a dead pick. You just can't have him if he's playing on a wing. Chris Scott, man, you can't trust him. So this is the issue with Bruin. He's going to have weeks where if he plays that role, then he'll go 100 plus. I'm pretty sure of that if he can maintain that role and maintain a high CBA rate. But if he plays predominantly on a wing, I can't see him going above 50 if that's his predominant position. Parfit absolutely killed him. Atkins was in there. I think he really hurt him as well. Oh, the talent is there with this pick. The talent is there. Bose wasn't in the side. He didn't play. That worries me as well. But I thought to myself, if he plays well enough, he deserves the right to keep the role. I thought he played well enough. But yeah, out he went in the second half. It was just super disappointing. Love him as a player, but I think I need to jump off. Look at how many players I need to jump off. This is a big issue with me and a big reason why I think it's going to be really tough to get a decent rank for me this year. Flanders, 64. Well, he did all of his damage in the last quarter, apparently. Again, I didn't watch much, if any, of this game. Maybe a few things here and there might have switched. But again, we knew that he didn't have the best role. And when you're comparing him to a Fife or a Bruin, it's no disaster. So I'm going to keep on to Flanders for now, see what happens next week, and see if he can spike that 75 average that we need for 150K. Look, he's not the biggest worry that I have. Asava, 55. Really happy with that selection. Look, not the greatest score that you've ever seen in the world, but gives him that really nice ruck cover. His job security is absolutely rock solid as well. Again, had a heap of notes on him. I don't think I need to say too much, but I think we saw the best and the worst from him during this game. I think he lost a little bit of confidence after he didn't go for the spoil. He went for the mark, and obviously, who was it? Someone in front of him brought the mark down. After that, he's a little bit worried, I think, about making another mistake. He lost a bit of confidence going for those marks, but then we saw some really good things towards the end of the game as well. And I think Chris Scott did say in this presser that he was impressed with what Radaglia did. So good signs for the Rat. Still more comfortable having him on the bench, though. And then Fergus, 33. Well, did so much more during the Pracky games, but we expect this is going to happen with rookies. It is what it is, and a very highly owned player as well. Now, what do we do? What on earth do we do here? Do I make 3 trades? Do I make 2? Do I make none? I hate making trades round 2, but I'm forced into a position here where I need to rectify things pretty quickly. There is one absolute standout player that I do need to get into my side. That's obviously Sheasel. And there's probably one play here that really sticks out as well, and that's Nat Fife. So I think this is going to be a must trade for me this week. Now, why am I doing it this week? Because there's so much carnage around here, I need to make some early moves. I hate to do it, as I said, but I need to be realistic with this situation. I need to try to claw my way back. So I need to start getting in some must-haves, and I think it's pretty evident that Sheasel will be a must-have. You watch, he's going to play forward next week now that I've got him in. But that's an absolute definite. I need to do that. And, hey, Fife will probably come out for the next couple of weeks and go 100 plus. You watch. But, based off that past performance and the 23, I know it's only going to be in his system for the one price rise, but I want a really early start, quick start from Fife with some cash gen. So, yeah, he's got to go for me. So all of a sudden you've got Sheasel there. That looks so much better, doesn't it? Now, what do I do next? And who goes next? There's Jones that could go, but as I said, probably Cowan is going to go for him. Laird, I'm going to keep the faith with, as I'm with Neil, all the premiums. Hopper, he's so highly owned that I'm going to keep on to him. He has the best role out of the mid prices that I've selected. So given the fact he's got the best role, I'm going to keep him in my side. For now, anyway, early on. Wanganeen Millerer. I did select him because he was under 2%. I wanted to go somewhere different. I really rated his role, but he probably wasn't aggressive enough in demanding the football for me. The kick-ins are a bonus, but if he's not playing on for the bloody square, then it's not a bonus, is it? It's absolutely nothing. He gets nothing for it. So Very, very, very much in the firing line for me. Ashcroft and McKenzie, no. Chesser, I'm probably just going to keep him for now. If he turns out to be a loop, then so be it. Very, very slow burn if he makes anything. I'm not too sure, but yeah, we'll keep him for this week, I think. And then you probably, well, I'm not moving my rucks. I'm not moving these guys. Shares I've just brought in. It's out of Bruin and Flanders. As I said, Flanders scored, what was that, 6 points more, and he's under 60K. Yeah, I can't get rid of Flanders yet. It's Bruin or it's Wanganeen Millerer. They're my two options. And who am I going to bring in? Well, you've got an array of mid-prices through the midfield, don't you? Every bloke that was on my watch list that I didn't select. You got your Callaghan, who's at the cheapest price, but I didn't select him because of the wing role. I don't know how he scored so well, but geez, he's a good user, isn't he? Look sublime, Finn Callaghan. That's an option. Warple had a great role, scored well. Sheed is not in calculations. I'm still not a huge fan of him. And then you've got Setterfield as well. Setterfield, I'd probably go away from more due to that price. I don't necessarily want to have to pay up for him. So it's Warple or it's Callaghan if I'm going someone in the mids. Forwards are really, really interesting. What do you do here? There's a bloke by the name of Jason Horne-Francis who destroyed us. He looked fantastic. He looked exactly like a number one pick, like an absolute beast. The issue is that he hasn't been on my watch list. Do I jump on after one game without doing the research, etc.? I'll have time during the week. He's certainly in calculations for me. Jack Zeeble. Wouldn't I love to be able to move him down back? What I was planning on doing with Wanganeen Millerer. He's certainly an option. Not the best player in the world, but again, another one I had in my side, and I did have, let's say, medium to high hopes for. And the other one that we've got is Errol Goulden. I didn't want to start him, but he's in 40% of sides. Do I go a defensive pick in Goulden? Do I go up from a Bruin? That's a big question. I don't really want to. I said I've got a slight feeling he may get tagged when he comes up against Hawthorn, but I think Merritt scored half decent, didn't he, against Callaghan? So, again, didn't watch the game in the second half, so I'm not too sure what happened there. And then, obviously, you've got Jones you could do something with, but this isn't enough to go up to a Dacos or a Young. And I've still got concerns about those two players as well. So I think for me, do I even make a second move? I think I probably do, and I probably need to. At this stage, I'm not going to use a boost at this stage. So it's out of Wanganeen Millerer and Bruin who's going to go. What I might even do just for now. All right, so who's... All right, Geelong's got Carlton. And the Saints have the Dogs. Marvel. Man, who knows? I think Bruin's probably more of a sub-risk. Wanganeen Millerer, I could still send back. All right, for now, just for now, it's really tough, actually. All right, let's go Wanganeen Millerer out because he's only in 2% of sides. And I am going to go at this stage. Man, I hate doing this. I should have just done it at the start, shouldn't I? Errol Goulden. We've got 5K in the bank. Is it meant to be? Is it meant to be? So, what are the changes I've made here? So, out goes Fife and Wanganeen Millerer in Sheasel and Goulden. I think I've got to do it. I think they're pretty obvious trades. Then the next week, well, we're looking at Tanner Bruin out. We're looking at most likely a Liam Jones out. And then it depends on what Laird and Neil actually do. If one of them's going to absolutely plummet in price, then I'll probably get out of the pick. Most likely invest into a Dacos Young type, maybe even a Dawson. See what happens with those players this week. See what the eye test looks like. And then is it a Chandler maybe? Chandler for Green. Chandler for Flanders to give myself maybe some more cash in the bank. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Do you go a Warple in? It's a possibility. So maybe next week we'll go something like, so Goulden will chuck into the forward line. Bruin may become a Warple. Something may happen here. I'm hoping that it doesn't. And there may be a chance through someone like a Jones or through some DPP here to even get an extra primo into the back line there. So at least I'm going to get another week of data with these mid prices. I'm hoping like hell that Fife doesn't absolutely pop off and Bruin, or Wanganeen Miller doesn't all of a sudden learn how to kick and play on from the goal square. But I think when you look at those two trades, they're trades that make sense. They're sensible trades. I'm swallowing my pride a little bit there, but I'm happy to do that in order to try to get back to level somehow. But that's the issue. You know, I missed out on basically every good pick. And if you look at the highly owned players, like your Gouldens, like your Dacos, even your Olivers, I just wasn't on any of them, which really, really hurt me at the end of the day. And players that I was on, your Bruins, your Wanganeen Millers, your Fifes, they just, well, Fife was a wholly owned player, I know, but they just didn't step up to the plate. It's week one. I'm going to claw my way back. That is how the team's looking at the moment. If you think that I need to use a boost this week, let me know. But I'm pretty keen on giving either Wanganeen Miller or Bruin one more week. Just one more week. I'm really not confident, but I hate going this early. I'll definitely use, I think, the 3 trades next week, but I'd much rather use the 3 next week as opposed to this week because I'll get some more data and I don't want to use 2 boosts so early on if possible. But that is the team, guys. Let me know what you think. Actually, probably don't let me know what you think. Let me know, though, because I know it's going to be bad feedback. No, let me know what you think. Be honest. What should I do in regards to my trades this week? I'm pretty lost, as you can see with this side at the moment, but it is round 1. I'm going to bounce back. I'm at 90,000 at the moment, and the only way is up. So thanks for watching, guys. Apologies if you did follow any of the picks that I went with this year. Stay tuned for the stock market video, the first Supercoach stock market video for 2023. That will be coming next week, so not this week. That will be next week, just before the first price changes. But I am getting together with Spills and Janeth to record the first episode of our Supercoach Swordplay podcast for 2023. Oh, it's going to be an interesting one this year. Lots of complaining, I think, but as always, you're going to get lots of hopefully great info and a lot of banter to go along well with that as well. So hope all is well, guys. Hope you did better than me this week. If you didn't, well, at least we're going to both go down together. So all the best, guys. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.